So we do have an update on the Breonna Taylor story. I'm sure you guys remember Breonna Taylor was killed in an illegal no-knock raid by officers who thought that a drug dealer was in her apartment, or at first I had heard they thought they got the apartment wrong and it was supposed to be her neighbor, and they tried to arrest her boyfriend, who shot back because these people just burst into their apartment. It was an example in a whole number of ways of why we should not have no knock raids, period. And then I should just kind of set the pretext here before I bring up the update. As I've covered before, Daniel Cameron, who's Attorney General in Kentucky, there basically refused to actually try to get an indictment against the officers when he presented the case for a grand jury, which resulted in no indictment for the officers who murdered Breonna Taylor. And that was where things sat for a very long time, but we do now have an update here. This is a tweet from the New York Times. A former detective admitting to helping mislead a judge into authorizing the raid of Breonna Taylor's apartment that led to her killing. She admitted to working with another officer to falsify a search warrant application and lying to cover up their act. And they have the screenshot of the piece there. Kelly Goodlett, the former detective, pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy. She is the first officer to be convicted in the fatal police operation. Guys, the reason I wanted to bring this up, this is a lot more common than you think. It's a lot more common than you think. It's another reason that we should ban no-knock raids. And, I guess there's a part of me that, I think part of the reason that George Floyd is sort of moved a lot of people who had previously been immovable on the issues of police and the justice system is because of just how egregious the case was, right? The opportunities that he had not to kill George were so ample. And when people saw that, I think that sort of viscerally, how can you not change your mind, right? So I think a lot of people who previously were, maybe not pro-police, but we're certainly not in favor of defunding police and serious reforms, rebuilding the institution, addressing all of the racist, classist elements of our justice system. People who would push back against progressive proposals on those issues, some of them really were moved by George Floyd's murder. And I kind of thought Breonna Taylor would be a similar case. And perhaps you could argue it is, and it's just kind of this wave of a movement gaining steam, and these were each instances that contributed. But the fact that Chauvin was charged, convicted, and thrown in jail in a very public way, and these 4 officers got off, it might have been 3. I think it was 4 officers, though. Someone can correct me in the chat. I think it was 4 officers. The fact that they all got off without any punishment or consequence at all seemed well beyond the pale to me. So I'm glad to see that there is at least a consequence here for the officer who falsified information in approving the search warrant, or on the request for the search warrant. And I hope that this will lead to further scrutiny about the process by which these warrants are obtained, and about no-knock raids in general. So that's a positive development, and I hope that the officers who actually murdered her will be, coming up shortly in terms of their punishment.